Oh, yeah!
Hey, and welcome to another episode of Spear from the Past. It's going to be a fun one today. We jumped from Wrestlemania 2 that we did last week to Wrestlemania 28. So, continue the trend. But we've got JPO here. JPO, how's it going?
Doing fine. It's a real blast from the past for me because I was there. This is the first ever Mania I ever attended. In fact, I'm trying to see if my thing will work. I'll try to add a special background. But there we go. This is actually my photo that I took. I didn't have a pillow behind me, but yeah. So yeah, this is fond memories. Some sad memories, but then some memories that end up being maybe for the better. But we'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah. Also, we've got Jacob. Jacob, how's it going?
It's going well. Yeah, no, this is actually the first WrestleMania that I watched live. We couldn't afford, pay-per-views when I was a child. We weren't shelling out, $50 to watch, but because of a certain main event, we were like, let's get this. That's pretty big. I know you like both those guys, and it was actually my girlfriend at the time who bought the show. So yeah, we're no longer together, and it's been years since I talked to her. So bittersweet memories.
Bittersweet. Hey, by the way, though, you kids today, I know what you mean by not always buying the pay per views. Like, I saw a couple pay per views live growing up because that shit was expensive. So you kids are spoiled. Fucking, it's on Peacock for free now. You spoiled kids.
Or the international people. Or for international people,
yeah. I forgot that still exists for some people, yeah. But even then, you're still super spoiled. I hate you.
Yeah. But with that, going into the card, we had the pre-show match of Primo and Epico versus Tyson Kidd and Justin Gabriel and the Usos. It was a fun match for the pre-show. It's one that I remember watching once when this came out. I gave it a quick rewatch for this, but yeah, nothing much to say about this. But JP, did you watch the pre-show match or remember it from when you were there?
Yeah, I was gonna say I didn't rewatch the pre-show. I was there definitely in time. In fact, you can even see how kind of empty the stadium is in my photo behind me. A photo. So yeah, I mean the pre-shows. That's why I kind of miss them because I mean they were very much for like the few that didn't quite get on the card because everyone you just named is pretty talented here and kind of funny. As we're talking now in 2025, like pre-show Jey Uso, I'm about to go for a world title, so.
Yeah,
shows you how things can turn around there. So yeah, no, it was a fun match. Yeah, unfortunately the tag team titles would sometimes end up on the pre-show, but other years even the IC title will be on the pre-show, so you just never know.
Yeah. But Jacob, did you watch the pre-show match or did you?
I didn't rewatch it because I don't think it's part of the stream that was on.
No, yeah,
on Peacock. So
Peacock I jumped straight to Sheamus and Daniel.
Yeah, so I didn't rewatch it. I do remember watching it at the time though, and I remember, I kind of wish they were given a little bit more time. They were the only match on the pre-show, so why not give them a little bit more time if these are 6 very talented people. So yeah, good for what it was. Just wish it was a little bit longer, but glad there was a pre-show match. Bring them back.
Yeah, this was back in the era of the pre-shows that was on YouTube for free. So I remember just when I was, I went through the WWs, like I was fooled into thinking WrestleMania was on YouTube for some random reason. Like there's no way they'll do that. But with that, we open up the show with Lillian Garcia singing "America the Beautiful," which is good. Like it's one of those ones like when it comes to ring announcers, like with Lillian and Samantha, like both of them are really good singers as well. So I think they both did America the Beautiful.
I always if you ever attend a house show, or at least they do it at the NXT house shows, they replay that in audio at the beginning of the show. I always make the same corny joke. I go, why would they fly Lillian Garcia out to this show just to have her in the back? Like, they didn't even bring her out because it's just the audio.
Yeah.
I make the same shitty joke every time.
But then we go into the first match, which was Sheamus defending Daniel Bryan for the World Heavyweight Championship. And this is was like this was just a quick 18-second match. Like it was just essentially Daniel Bryan kissing AJ Lee, turning around to the bro kick. I don't know why they made why they booked it for it to be that short. I kind of wish we had a little bit more of a match there. But Jordan, what did you think of Sheamus versus Daniel Bryan?
Oh boy, if you want to go back to what year? What year is 2008? 2012. We're talking 8. 2012. Jo was pissed, and I also am pretty sure Jo might have been the first person to know it was 18 seconds because I am the nerd in the stands with the stopwatch going click, and I swear to God, I just took a sip of my soda, sat down, the match was over with, and I went, "What?" I didn't even see what happened. I'm like, is that the bell? 18 seconds. What the fuck? So yeah, wasn't happy with it here. It's a weird decision too to open with this. I maybe would have opened up with something else, like a real match. But I don't know if it was just time constraints. It's not a super stacked card as far as it's only 8 matches, and then we got a couple of other ones that aren't that long either. You know what I mean? The next match is only 10. The women's tag's 6. So yeah, kind of an odd decision to do the quick squash. But as I kind of alluded to earlier, do we have the yes movement without this? So it might have been one of those great silver lining things. So
yeah. And Jacob, what did you think of Sheamus versus Daniel Bryan?
I hated this so much. It's your opening match. You have 2 very talented people in Sheamus and Daniel Bryan, and we could see, we saw at the next pay-per-view they're capable of having a great match. It's WrestleMania. Sheamus is your Rumble winner. You think you'd want to showcase him at WrestleMania. I didn't get the decision there. I still don't get it. I still think we could get to the yes movement even if they had a real match. I think Daniel Bryan had that sort of, and maybe that's just me being biased because Daniel Bryan, he's the Washington guy. That's where I'm from, and so maybe I just like him a little bit more than most people. But no, I hated this. I don't think this is the right way to kick off a WrestleMania. Like JPO said, kick it off with something else. And I mean, if there were time constraints, cut out a Flo Rida performance. He doesn't need to perform. I'm sorry. Cut out the women's tag. Was it because Maria Menounos was in the match? I don't know. You could cut that. I'm sorry. Women's wrestling back then was not thought of as fondly as it is today. Unfortunately, I'm not saying that to be. I like women. Okay, and I like women's wrestling. But yeah, no. I mean, even I was watching it. The last hour and a half, there were 2 matches. So I don't think it was time constraints. I think this was always the booking decision, which still baffles me. Yeah, give these 2 a good WrestleMania match, and I think I was already in a bad mood watching this, and I was like, I hope it gets better. Yeah. Eventually, it does.
Yeah, and this is one to open with this 18-second match is weird because gotta expect some people may have just walked in seen the match end is what the hell because with this being the direct start of the thing, people are probably still filing into the stadium. I don't know how quickly people got in there, but it's
I would say, I mean, there's probably definitely some people that are late. But I mean, the majority is in there. I mean, it is start of the show. That's why they do. Another reason I think it's good to have a pre-show because that's kind of this is when you need to get the fucking sit down.
Yeah, I did hear.
I'm sure some people. I bet you there's people I'm sure I got an extra 5-10 minutes before the match will finish.
Well, you can hear on commentary after the next match, Michael Cole says people are still filing in. And I was like, oh, wait till they find out that Sheamus versus Daniel Bryan already happened.
Done. Yeah, I know. There probably was an amount of people that were like, all right, when's that match happening? It happened? What?
Yeah. But then we go into a backstage segment with Team Johnny having a powwow in the locker room, which is just a standard team dynamic talking, and then but yeah, Jacob, what did you think of this backstage segment with Team Johnny and all that?
don't miss the days when between every match it's a backstage segment. I think there were a few on the show that were just, they were time fillers. And yeah, the biggest thing for me was looking back on it was how weird 2012 could be at times, because you had a team of Mark, who was it? Mark Henry, The Miz, Dolph Ziggler, Drew McIntyre, Jack Swagger, all future or former world champions, and your team captain is David Otunga. So it was just a filler segment. It felt like.
Yeah, and JP, what did you think of this segment of Team Johnny and all that?
I don't mind little things like this as long as they're kind of quick. I don't love this one just because, boy, John Laurinaitis, for a guy that was kind of in charge of like talent, this is the most zero charisma I think I've ever seen. So that's always been unique to me. So yeah, I didn't necessarily care too much about this, and we'll talk about the matchup pretty soon.
Yeah, and yeah, I didn't mind this backstage segment because like it at least was like hyping up a match we're getting later anyway. We'll get into another one which I think didn't need to be at least on WrestleMania anyway. But the next match we had was Kane versus Randy Orton. And like it's one of those ones like I've always found Kane be about like a really like decent wrestler, and even Randy Orton in this time period was really good too. So, this is one of those. Well, I can't remember what the build up to this match was and why it kind of happened, but it's one of those ones like it. The match itself was pretty good, and I really enjoyed it. But JPO, what did you think of Kane versus Randy Orton?
Yes, I mean this is kind of the real kickoff of the show now. They're giving about 11 minutes here. It was all right. I mean, yeah, like you said, I definitely don't remember what the build up to this was. It's definitely in a different sense of the 12 man. Like, hey, Orton and Kane, they're pretty big stars. We need a match for them. All right, well, I always say building a wrestling card is like a puzzle, and like these two pieces were just kind of left over. So like, let's give them a match, kind of thing. I remember it being a surprise victory though. Like, I definitely didn't think Kane was gonna get it. I thought this was definitely gonna be an Orton victory. But I kind of like what we'll get here pretty soon with the Big Show. I feel like this is kind of a throwaway thank you victory for Kane, in a way here, because after this he's just being like a lot of like tags and whatnot around Mania time and Battle Royal. So this didn't really propel him anymore. But I guess it doesn't hurt to lose either every once in a while for Orton. So it was all right. It was not too bad of a real opener.
And Jacob, what did you think of Kane versus Randy Orton?
Yeah, the build up was Kane was attacking Randy Orton because Kane shook his hand after a street fight in 2011 that he felt made him look weak and human, and so he was attacking him. I think he attacked him after a Daniel Bryan match, and so yeah, that's what it was. Kane just wanted to look like a monster again. I thought this was a really good Raw main event that they put on WrestleMania. There's nothing bad about it. There's nothing great about it. It was just really solid action, I think, from start to finish. And yeah, I expected Orton to win. They gave the victory to Kane. I think, yeah, this would lead to, I believe, was it a last man standing, I think, at Extreme Rules, or a no DQ or something like that. That one was also really good. So yeah, no, I enjoyed the feud. But yeah, this was just, it was a good match. Nothing really special. Nothing bad.
Yeah. But then next up we had the backstage segment with some guy from Deadliest Catch. I have no idea what his name is. With Santino Marella and Mick Foley doing eating crayfish, and then Ron Simmons comes in and Damon. This is the segment is like, did this really need to be here? Like, I get they're hyping out the premiere of Deadliest Catch. I believe Mick Foley was on. I think, but that was happening in this week. But it's like you could have put this on a Raw or something, and it'll be fine. Like, it didn't need to be on Mania. But Jake, what do you think of this Deadliest Catch segment of Santino and Mick Foley?
Remember when Mick Foley was this serious character? He was putting on great hardcore matches, and people loved him. and then he starts doing silly. I mean, I think it's fine for him, like post wrestling career, like he's just having fun. I think, but again, for a WrestleMania, it's supposed to be your big showcase, your big show of the year, and we're putting silly comedy segments like this in between matches. It's fine. It sounded like the crowd kind of liked it. JPI, I'm sure, can speak more to that if he remembers. But again, just fine. Let's get between. You gotta do something between matches, I guess.
Yeah. JPO, what did you think of this Deadliest Catch segment of Santino?
I don't remember how the crowd felt. We're going back way too far, man. No, I'm torn because like they obviously got paid. This is almost the equivalent of today of crispy crunch on the ring apron and Prime in the corner all the time. So they are a business, but like and I'm also of the mind of like it kind of breaks things up. Maybe if it was done a little quicker, it does feel like the segment actually runs longer than it should. But and I never really laughed all that much. But yes, it's it is what it is for me. Like I get it, but it's not exactly like if I were to ever watch this again, I could see myself fast forwarding. And hey, at least we got a damn out of it.
I was gonna say, Ron Simmons summed it up perfectly.
But the next match we had was Big Show versus Cody Rhodes for the Intercontinental Championship. I don't know if anyone can hear me because I'm frozen on my end. But JPO, what did you think of Big Show versus Cody Rhodes?
Yeah, no, I can hear you. This was just okay. Again, it never felt like it got to that second gear. I feel like Cody. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, because Malcolm was frozen and Jacob looked frozen, but he wasn't. All right, you're very.
I was fast forwarding my stream to The Rock and John Cena.
This is. I mean, it's a 5-minute match. It never felt like we got to that next level here. This is kind of like Kane's match, but in a different way. I think it was kind of a thank you win for Big Show. He had a couple tag wins at this point. Never had like a big singles moment yet at Mania's, and it would end up being kind of a nothing reign. He would literally. This is one of I think 4 or 5 Extreme Rules rematches, and for Big Show, he had 0 defenses in between, and then lost it back to Cody. So you know what I mean. So it's just one of those like, hey, let's have the good guy win at Mania, and then we're just gonna go back to where we were anyway with Cody and the Lunk at the end.
Yeah. And Jacob, what did you think of Big Show versus Cody Rhodes?
Yeah, I'm kind of the same. I think it was just the match was being built as Big Show hasn't had that WrestleMania moment. You could see in the video package before. Yeah, it was short. It was like 5 minutes. I wish they would have gotten a little bit more time. Also, I think the knockout punch is a weird finisher because like if you can just hit that any time, why wouldn't you just hit it at the beginning?
Why are you hesitating? Yeah,
like why wait? Just punch him, knock him out, pin him. Yeah, and like he said, turned out to be really a nothing reign. It was just let's give Big Show his WrestleMania moment. I think that's all it was. Cody would bounce back. I think he's done fine since then. I think he's doing okay.
Yeah. No.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah, no. Yeah. I will say the random video package that they showed of in between the entrances with like just Big Show to being this whole like WrestleMania, woo, like this whole random Big Show group. It was entertaining. I think they were saying on commentary there was like it was kind of a thing that Cody Rhodes did, but yeah. And everything's on flash on my end.
We can hear you.
As long as you can hear me. But next up, I believe it was once I get my notes up on my phone, just so I know where we are at. Next up, we had Kelly and Maria Menounos versus Beth Phoenix and Eve Torres. This was a okay match. I think for the most part, Maria's staying like ringside just came in for a few moments, but the match itself like it was okay. It wasn't really anything to write home about. But JPO, what do you think of Kelly and Maria Menounos versus Beth Phoenix and Eva Torres?
Oh man, you know how hot the women's division is. It's your women's match of the night, one and only here, and it's Maria Menounos. This is her third of 4 matches. Her fourth wasn't even televised, as I didn't access later on. FanVest. It's her longest match though. Her first 2 also multi-women matches under 3 minutes. This one almost 7. So put in the work, and the person leading her is Kelly. So hey, we have 2 talented women. I like Beth. I actually thought Eve was getting better towards the end too, as well. So it's doable. I mean, it's not the worst thing, but it's passable. That's my review.
And Jacob, what did you think of Kelly and Maria Menounos versus Beth Phoenix and Eve Torres?
About the same. It's fine. It's passable. You know, if you're gonna have celebrity involvement in the show, that's fine. I think Maria Menounos is a big enough fan that she's at least taking it seriously and having fun with it. So I appreciate that. But yeah, I mean, I'm glad we're getting better women's wrestling matches today, even not long after this one. So
yeah,
it's fine. It's doable. It's all right.
And then next up we had Matt Striker interviewing Shawn Michaels about being the guest ref for the match. I'm just going to do both of these at the same time because it literally leads into the match anyway. And Shawn just confirms he's going to call it down the middle and this and all that. And then we go into Undertaker versus Triple H in a Hell in a Cell match with HP as a guest ref, which and I believe it was and it was the end of the era match. And yeah, one thing that really struck me is I didn't realize they had entrance music for the cage lowering. It just seemed a bit weird. But the match itself, it was really good. It's just you had no idea who was going to win because like they kept it very back and forth throughout the match, and it was just really fun and watching. I will always argue. I think that for me, this is up there in Undertaker's matches that he's done. And the image of Triple H, HBK, and Undertaker walking out together after the match is, I think, it's one of those images that I think is really iconic these days. But JPO, what do you think of Undertaker versus Triple H?
No, this is good stuff, man. This is I'm gonna say match of the night. I did never my only qualm. I didn't have a ton of faith in Triple H winning. I didn't feel like Triple H was gonna end the streak. That's already a pretty established thing at this point. But other than that, they told a great story here. The iconic of them kind of like at the helping each other out, turning around. The pop we gave, that I actually do like legitimately remember, like the fucking noise that made. So yeah, no, this is cool. I'm gonna see I think it's definitely my first Hell in a Cell as well, and it's not too bad. Luckily, you can kind of see through it. It's hard for photos, but it was not too bad to watch live. And these two work well together. In fact, this is Undertaker's first really good Mania match was with Triple H back in 2001. So these two have always, I think, gelled pretty well together here. And this is probably after the Shawn matches, off the top of my dome, maybe my favorite Taker match at Mania.
And Jacob, what did you think of Undertaker versus Triple H?
Yeah, I think it's up there for me too. At least top 5 with those Shawn matches. I think maybe the CM Punk match and Edge, I think, is in talks for those top 5 for me personally. This is a really good match. I'm glad they gave him a lot of time to tell the story that they told 30 minutes. I'm pretty sure the entrances were longer than the last 2 matches combined, including the Cell. I remember them making such a big deal when Undertaker took his hood off and he was bald, and I was like, well, that's what happens when you get older. Your hair starts going, and they played it up as, well, he started cutting off his hair because he couldn't handle not being able to walk out after last year's WrestleMania. And I was like, that's a weird reason to cut your hair. Why'd you wait so long to cut it? Just WrestleMania season bringing up bad memories? No, I think this was the one time where I think a special guest ref being involved in the match physically, I think it made sense. Poor Charles Robinson taking one of the worst choke slams. I don't think he got up the way he was supposed to, but he took that bump and then he was out for the rest of the match. Good for you. No, it was really good. There were several spots. There were moments during the match where I thought, oh, maybe Triple H is going to end it. I didn't think going into the match that he had a shot, but like that sweet chin music into the pedigree spot, I was like, oh, is this going to be it? And then Ikusan was like, all right, if that's not going to do it, I think we're going to see an Undertaker victory. Cool moment after the match. I do think it went on a little bit too long, like the post match stuff. But they deserve it. They've more than earned their spot. So really good match of the night. Probably one of the best WrestleMania matches of the 2010s, if I'm being honest.
I would even argue that this probably should have been the main event, honestly. But we'll get to that main event when we get to it.
If it wasn't for who was in the main event, I would say
match quality, sure, but like realistically, absolutely not.
But then next up we had the standard like Hall of Fame segment, and the Hall of Fame class we had for this one was Mul Mascaras, Yokozuna, Juan Simmons, the Four Horsemen, which I believe was Ric Flair, Arn Anderson, Tully, Barry Windham, and Jay Dillon, Mike Tyson, and Edge. JPO, what do you think of this Hall of Fame class that we had this year?
It wasn't too bad. I don't know, we've seen better, but I liked it from what I remember.
And Jacob, what did you think of this Hall of Fame class?
Yeah, it's weird looking back and Edge, who's now a full-time active. Sorry, Pope, who's now a full-time active wrestler again, was part of a 2012 Hall of Fame class. I'm glad he's back. I remember Ric Flair was in TNA at the time, so it was cool to see him kind of being able to still make it for the induction. I remember it was weird at the end. Yokozuna's kids and Mil Mascaras were on the one side. Everybody else was shaking hands, and they look over like, "Oh, are we done?" So no, good class. I remember really liking the ceremony, the night before too. So
that one, we had really great seats for. If you ever watched the ceremony again, you could definitely see me several times, especially like when Zack Ryder stands up. Like we're like 2 rows behind the wrestlers. Like we had great seats. Yeah.
And just quickly, like I'm glad like Triple H like it's finally going to get inducted as a solo wrestler this year. He definitely deserves going in.
100%.
Oh, for sure. He's deserved it the last few years. I wouldn't have been surprised if he won.
I mean, career alone before even any like creative praise. Career alone, no doubt. No doubt.
Yeah, and it's one of those ones like I like the fact that like they surprised him with it, it not being him putting himself in it himself. Is that
well, no, because I'm sure. I mean, because funny enough, we have a local Hall of Fame here, and I've actually like fought for me being put in. Not fought for me being in, fought against me being in. So like I get it. Like I'm sure Triple H has the same sense as Vince. Like, nah, like I'm not gonna nominate myself. Like obviously, And the thing is with Vince, I don't think we would have ever seen Vince in because I don't think anyone would have had the balls to disobey him. But I think they were like, Triple H will get it. He's nice. He's not a dick.
Yeah. And then next we had a backstage segment with Heath Slater and Beck getting knocked out by Flo Rida, which was kind of a nothing segment if I'm being honest. JP, any thoughts on this backstage segment?
No, I didn't know we were going to even talk about all the segments here. I have no notes there, nothing. I just kind of like skimmed through it. No, just another way to include your guest and include somebody that wasn't really booked for the show. Ooh, baby, Heath.
Yeah, and Jacob, any thoughts on the backstage segment?
I wish you gotta treat Heath better. He's got kids. I don't know if he had kids at the time, but eventually he had kids. I don't know. I don't think your celebrity guest should be overpowering your wrestlers, even if it's the lower on the card ones. Like, Come on, just let them be guests. Don't let them perform. Let them do what they want there to do. I don't know. I might be in the minority on that, but
yeah,
it was fine.
Yeah, but yeah. Then next up we had Team Johnny, which was David Otunga, Dolph Ziggler, Drew McIntyre, Jack Swagger, Mark Henry, The Miz, with I believe it was Nikki Bella who's the manager on this side, or was it
Brie Bella?
Brie Bella? And then you had versus Team Teddy, which was Booker T, Kofi Kingston, The Great Khali, R-Truth, Centineo Morella, and Zack Ryder, who had the other ballot. And then Oksana was there on one of the sides. Vicky was on one of the sides.
And Hornswoggle was on Team Teddy.
Yeah. But yeah, but this match was definitely designed to get as many people as they can on the WrestleMania card. And yeah, it was just a chaotic match. Like, people were taking in and out. It was just a mess. I think, and then after the match, you had Eve like kicking Zack Ryder afterwards and like turning on him. Like, poor Zack, like Zack Ryder deserved better. But JP, what do you think of this 12-man tag match?
Yeah, this is another one why I think this pay-per-view kind of gets brought down. Not in an egregious way, far from like a bad pay-per-view, but like again, this is fine. You're trying to do a lot. 12-man tag is a bit excessive here. I mean, it at least gets 10 minutes, but still, that's for some people less than a minute of ring time. But for Khali, that's actually too long. And again, you're throwing a lot too out the window. And even besides the 12-man tag, you got the Bellas, you got the GMs, you got Vicky, Oksana. There's a bit of Hornswoggle. Like, holy shit, are they throwing a lot of at the plate here? Yeah. So it's okay. A lot of talent in the ring. So I mean, it kind of goes by smoothly here. But yeah, it's not exactly like it's definitely one of those like New Japan / Mania matches where it's like, damn, you're doing it just to get everyone on the card, and I get it, but at the same time, I would have just preferred a nice, smoother tag or singles, you know.
But then next up we had a backstage segment with John Laurinaitis telling Punk that if he gets disqualified, he'll lose his title, and then leading into the match between Punk and Jericho for the WWE Championship. I will say, for this WrestleMania, like there didn't seem to be a lot of like big over the top special entrances like there usually is, but I will say Chris Jericho had a really cool jacket. But the match itself, it was a pretty. I really enjoyed this match. I feel it was really good, and just having Jericho trying everything under the sun to try and get Punk disqualified, because I think in the lead up to this, like Jericho was sort of going off on Punk's family and all this stuff, like that being straightened and all that, and I just think this worked. But JP, what do you think of CM Punk versus Chris Jericho?
No, I like this match. This is one I was looking forward to. As a huge CM Punk guy, it was fun seeing him defend the title and successfully defend the title against Jericho here. And unlike the qualms of the other matches, they were given time. This is a nearly 23-minute match, so they're given some time here. I think their next match might have been just as good, if not better, but this one was pretty good. Unfortunate that again, because of who was there, this couldn't be, a main event, or you know what I mean. If they maybe had bookend this and the Hell in a Cell, well, that would have been a cool bookend. But still a good match here. I mean, these two had chemistry.
Yeah. And Jacob, what did you think of CM Punk versus Chris Jericho?
I really enjoyed this match. Yeah, I like the build up to it. Him kind of Chris Jericho, kind of taking his CM Punk's straight edgeness and his past. Really good in ring action. Really good storytelling with Chris trying to get CM Punk disqualified. Their match. I think it was a Chicago street fight, I believe. At Extreme Rules was also really good. The two best in the world, as they would call themselves. And the match didn't disappoint. So, yeah, really, really solid. I think there was a reason they chose Chris Jericho to be CM Punk's opponent when he returned. I believe, what was it? It was another pay-per-view in Chicago. I think after he
Payback.
But yeah. I think it was so.
Yeah. And then next up, we had what I'd like to call a race of time segment for the main event. With Brodus Clay coming out to get people to call their mothers, and then you had Mama Clay coming out for their bridge club.
Yeah.
JPO, any thoughts on this Brodus Clay segment?
Okay, well, again, I actually do remember, I think at the time being like, I'm ready to wrap this shit up. Come on, we're gonna make this night last longer for this. Yeah, I whatever. Brodus was kind of over at the time, so I guess it's to give him kind of a pseudo spot. But yeah, this is passable. I don't even want to say passable, but it is what it is. I can technically say I've seen Flow Rider live.
Jacob, what do you think about this Brodus Clay segment?
Yeah, it's weird. They were going to cut it. I remember watching I believe it was a interview with Chris Van Vliet. Brodus Clay was doing, and he said that the segment was actually going to be cut. And then John was like, "I have to go to the bathroom," and he was like, "Brodus Clay was there," and he was like, "I'm thinking like what, like 8 minutes?" And he's like, "Yeah, I could get it done in 8 minutes." So like they were gonna cut it, but John like made it happen. So yeah, it was cool for John to like give somebody a WrestleMania moment, but unfortunately, the moment we did get was kind of forgettable, but still a cool like little backstage moment into the like who John was as a person. So it's cool in that respect, but yeah, what we got on screen. Did you really need to go to the bathroom?
It's either a year or two. I think it's just a year later. Brodus 8-man tag does get cut. It's like Brodus and the fucking Dactyls against Cody, Sandow, and the Bellas, maybe. And that does get cut. Which sucks because I would have preferred that. Give them 8 minutes.
But then we get into the main event, which was a once in a lifetime match.
Sure, it is.
Once in a lifetime, part 1.
Yeah, look, it's one of those ones that I kind of wish they'd waited a bit before running it back. But I get they probably had like a 3-year deal with Rock for 3 consecutive mains. I don't know the behind the scenes of that for why they decided to run it back like a year later. But it's like, you're going to do that, don't bill it as a once in a lifetime match. But I will say the video package they played for it though was really cool. Just seeing like all these old photos of both The Rock and Cena and all the interviews with their stars and that. But then
they've always said they're great at hype videos. Like even Cena and Miz, like you walk into the match going, "Holy shit, what a story!" and the match is being mediocre. But like they're good at hyping videos.
Yeah, and then we had the entrances, which were really long, partially because there was like mini concerts as well. You had
I forgot I could technically say I saw Machine Gun Kelly live. That's a sentence I can technically say.
Yeah, but then you had like some guy come out and introduce Machine Gun Kelly and Skylar Grey. Like I don't know, he might have been famous at some stage, but I think he's cancelled now. Which to perform Invincible, which I believe was the WrestleMania theme song of that year anyway. Or was it Flow Rider? That was I don't know, one of them, but they acted as John Cena's entrance in that, and then Machine Gun Kelly kind of doing like a rap promo as well, saying how Cena's going to win and he's the underdog and all that. Then you had Flow Rider come out to form Good Feeling and Wild Ones, which then The Rock came out after that. And they were really quick, like changing the very quick at moving out the instruments and stuff when they were changing the musical acts as well, like in the machines. Like, but yeah, the match itself, I thought was really I thought it was okay, but like it was one of those ones like clearly the Rock wasn't as ring ready as he wanted to be because it was really slow. I think Cena did a good enough job of trying to work around that. But JP, what do you think of The Rock versus John Cena?
Yeah, so first of all, I definitely agree. I've calmed down in recent years because it is what it is, but I definitely had a big qualm with the whole once in a lifetime because to me, obviously the fact that they did it the very next year shows that was pretty much the plan from the get go, and it just feels like such a salty lie. Like I don't like when companies lie. Like there's a local promotion here. I won't say the name, but it rhymes with Schmotomic wrestling, and like they do the whole like, oh, I don't know if we're gonna last another year kind of thing. Hopefully you guys come out. Like it's literally like a store closing sale, and it's bullshit. You know what I mean? I felt like this was bullshit just to sell tickets to a match they knew they were gonna have a rematch for. So, that's my only qualm. The match itself too is pretty good, not great, and that's probably the same thing I can say for the next one. I think they hadn't even mentioned this the one where like maybe the Rock gets hurt kind of early on. He's kind of wrestling hurt for a little bit. So, yeah, it's good. It is interesting seeing these two. I mean, it's always fun when you get like this is an iconic duo that you never necessarily knew you might get because this is the point where the Rock's kind of in and out, and who knows if he's ever going to come back in. So it was cool. It was cool to see. Again, it's not a match that I go on my way for on a technical level, but on a spectacle level, kind of like Rock and Hogan. Yeah.
Yeah. And Jacob, what did you think about The Rock versus John Cena?
Yeah, it was good. I do think obviously because of who's involved, it is WrestleMania main event worthy. I think what we got in the ring was just a step below what I think you want from a WrestleMania main event, though. I think you can see the ring rest a little bit on The Rock, but yeah, no, it's still I think it's that generation's Rock Hogan. You don't expect to see those two in the ring, and then you finally do, and it happens. I also don't use the once in a lifetime. It's obviously you had these plans, I think. So yeah, no, it's good. I do think if The Rock and Cena weren't on the card, I think you do, like you were saying, Malcolm, you could end with that Hell in a Cell match. I think that would be a great way to end the show. So yeah, I don't know what you do with John Cena otherwise. So but yeah, no, still good, and yeah, a good spectacle. I think that's a good word for it.
I wonder if we ever get the Rock v Roman Reigns match. But
I don't know.
But with that does bring us to the end of this Mania. Moving on to next thing I like to do here, JPO, if you could go back in time and change a booking decision in this WrestleMania, what would you change?
Oh, see, I'm trying to think. I mean, the obvious one that comes to mind is just give Sheamus and Bryan time. Yeah, I mean, I'd give Sheamus and Bryan time, have them have a real banger. Because the other interesting thing about them too is they were scheduled for a U.S. title match a year before, and then that ends up being put on the pre-show, and then they end up breaking that match up to have a battle royal. So like it was kind of also like an interesting like, oh, finally these two are on the main show for an even bigger title, and even then we got robbed again. So I'd probably just that's off the top of my dome. It's just give them time, have a real banger, at least 15, if not 20.
And Jacob, what would you change booking wise if you could go back in time?
Yeah, I mean the obvious choice is what JPO said. I'd probably cut down the number of participants in the Team Teddy versus Team Johnny. Maybe have them each pick a tag team or something, but not like a six person team. I think it's weird. Looking back on it, Santino Marella and David Otunga are your team captains. Obviously the Miz is still. I think the Miz is still huge. He main evented the WrestleMania the night before, so maybe pair him with somebody, and then Teddy could pick like Kofi and R-Truth or something. I believe they might have been a team at one point, so they might have been a team at that time. I don't remember. So yeah, just instead of having, because it did feel rushed and cluttered. It was the one where I actually wish they would have been given more time because of how many people were involved. Give some people their spots. Not looking at you, Kali. I'm sorry. But I think that's what I would have done differently.
Yeah, yeah. Apart from hers, I really don't have anything else to add. It was like I put like the James Daniel Bryan was the one I was going to go for as well. I was like I would have given that more time. Yeah, and were they doing the Andre Battle Royals around this time, or did they start late after?
I think that started at 30, either 30 or 31.
Yeah, but JP, what would you rate this pay per view out of 5 stars?
Ooh, out of a 5 here. Again, it's one of those interesting ones where there's really nothing like, oh god, they shit the bed there. Like even the worst matches, they're kind of short. There is some good. There is some like go out of your way for the Hell in a Cell. Slightly go out of your way for Punk and Jericho, and if you're already out of your way, watch Rock and Cena. I'll say a 3.5. I'll give it a 3.5. I think it's a pretty watchable Mania. You know what I mean? You also get a nice, if you want to give a plus to like a 12-man tag and stuff like that, is like you do get a nice scope of like the current roster. Like, you don't have too many, you get that little bit of Zack Ryder and Eve Torres kind of cap on their little relationship. You get reminded of People Power, whether you like it or not. So you get at least a glimpse of the roster here. So yeah, I'll say 3.5. I'll be nice. Like I said, a banger, a smaller banger, and then a really iconic match that totally happened one other time.
But Jacob, what would you rate this pay per view out of 5 stars?
Yeah, it's because it has like one of my favorite WrestleMania matches, but then one of my least favorite WrestleMania matches on the same card. So I think I am also hovering in between that 3 to 3.5 because I do think the highs are high, like the Hell in a Cell, the WWE title match. Daniel Bryan, or not Daniel, Kane and Randy Orton is passable. Big Show getting his WrestleMania moment was fine as well. So I'll go like a 3.3 and a 3.25.
Yeah, for me, like I was probably a little bit nicer to this one than you guys, because like for what it was, I still enjoyed the pay per as a whole. I would have given it 4 stars. Like it's one of those ones like even the sort of lesser matches, I still thought were fine. Like there wasn't really a match that I was like I straight out said I thought was absolutely terrible. Well, like even the Sheamus Daniel Bryan one, even though it was short, like it was just a 18-second squash. It was like it was still entertaining enough. But with that, it's time for me to spin the wheel, see what the next pay per view I'm going to be doing. If it's a W, it's going to be Vengeance 2006. Which I don't know too much about.
Oh, that's the DX versus Spirit Squad main event.
It's in a pack of OVW, that one, huh? Spoilers.
Yeah, no, I remember seeing that poster. We've also got Umaga versus Eugene.
This is an interesting card.
Yeah.
Hey, Randy Orton versus Kurt Angle, that sounds pretty dope. Umaga Eugene, that sounds like a thing. Ric Flair versus Elgin Foley 2 out of 3. That sounds interesting for the time period. Nitro Benjamin Carlito, that should be a fun triple threat. Random Edge, that should be pretty good.
Yeah.
This is Imposter Kane, which is Luke Gallows. And Kane. Okay.
Cena and Sabu.
Cena and Sabu. All right, so that's actually a kind of interesting interesting time period we are with that. And evidently Eugene is accompanied to the ring by Jim Duggan, Kamala, and Doink. That's also a fun fact.
But with that, JPO, where can people find you online?
Find me over at the Periscope. We do lots of movie trivia and other movie shenanigans like countdowns, drafts sometimes, all that jazz. You can find Jacob Barber there sometimes. You can find me, Jacob Barber, Richie, and the Pez talking wrestling every Thursday. Thursday at 10 o'clock over on the Lonely Marks YouTube channel. I think we'll have some new viewers this week because I was playing Fortnite and we started talking about Joe Hendry. It was such a meet cute. It was awesome.
Jacob, we can people find you online.
When does Joe Hendry get in Fortnite?
I don't know if a TNA guy's in there anytime soon.
No, like you said, Lonely Marks every Thursday. Tomorrow I will be joining you on Rankum for wrestlers theme songs. So that should be fun. I'm excited to see what gets brought up. Monday I will be doing a lights out match. It's going to be all lyrics. So we'll see. One of those matches that's hard to prepare for. It's hard to study lyrics, so I'm just hoping the lyrics are in my wheelhouse. And then if you're in the Washington State area, every Tuesday at the Juice Box, you can find me doing comedy. This Tuesday, I'll be coming up on my 1 year anniversary of doing comedy. I'm pretty excited.
And you can also find me on Tayfu Productions as a host. Rankum every week. Next week, tomorrow is going to be top 12 in wrestlers' entrance theme songs. The poll for next week is up, so if you want to just decide what it want to be, you can get them and vote. And then you can also find me on my chat. The channel you're watching this on, Middle Earth Media, as I host Fear from the Past. Next week we're going to be talking about Vengeance of 2006. And I pop up here and there in places. I'll be on part 1 of the movie here in Network, Letter Series 96. As you'll randomly see my ceiling pop up in a minute, just so I can end the stream because my computer's gone blank and I can't don't have the end stream button able to be clicked on.